Guys good?
I'm good to go, yeah. So anyway, yeah, we were thinking the same thing. Like, no thanks. I haven't brought my glasses today, which I never remember.
I know, I forgot mine too.
I always forget about them for some reason.
Call to order this special meeting of the Board of Education, June 12th, 2025, 7 o'clock in Town Chambers. That's wrong on the top. First agenda item is the Pledge of Allegiance. If everyone would please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, moving along to agenda item number 2. Tonight we have a special guest to present regarding the Model UN Club at Rocky Hill, newly started. Mr. How do I pronounce it?
Don Bosley.
Mr. Bosley, please, if you.
It'll be loaded up.
It should be loaded up there.
It should be coming up. Should have a mic right here.
Let's
make sure it's on.
Working. Sounds good. Okay.
He'll
So-
advance the slides for you.
Okay, you'll advance it for me? Okay, so I'll just sit here. Okay. So, hi, my name is Adant Bosley. I am the founder of the Model UN Club at my school. We founded it 2 years ago during my freshman year of high school, thanks to the support of many in this room today. I'm grateful for all of you guys to be here. And I just want to give you guys a little bit of a recap of our conference. So, it was hosted on April 27th, 2025, so just a little bit over a month ago. It was at our high school, and we welcomed around 40-plus students from various schools in the region. We had Glastonbury High School, Amity High School, and we had many of these different schools come and participate in our event. So for those who don't know what Model UN really is, Model UN is basically just a simulation of the United Nations and the General Assembly and just many of those topics that we need to discuss. We get to do them as kids and as delegates and as representatives of the UN. So that's kind of what Model UN is. And luckily for us, we got to do it fully student run. We had the help of Mr. Fody and Mr. Dudas in running kind of the logistics of it, but it was largely student run, and we're so grateful for that because we learned a lot of stuff that I'll be presenting on later. But it was truly a magical experience for me, and yeah, go to. So I just want to start off by saying our opening ceremony. So we had. Our keynote speaker was Dr. David Simons of Yale University. So we were very fortunate to have him there. And we also had a charity event that was hosted to Interval House. I'm not sure if any of you guys are aware of what Interval House is, but we raised around $100 to kind of donate to the charity event just to create a community experience. And we'll be submitting that check soon. And also we were able to do introduction of chairs and secretariat members. So I just want to kind of create a feel for how the ceremony kicked off. It was a great event. Luckily, Mr. Prakash was there for us, and he was able to support and act as a liaison from the Board of Ed to Mr. Simon, and it was a great way to kind of just start off our event. And from there, it kind of just got even better as I'll keep on going through. So basically, a committee recap. So we have like a different topics here being discussed. So we have the EcoSoc, which is like Project 2031. I don't know if anyone's aware of that. But it basically has to do with making space neutral, and that was one of the topics that was heavily debated on because of just the recency of the event with so much space exploration going on. So we were lucky enough to have that in our topic. Also, we had IAEA, which is the International Atomic Energy Agency. So we talked a lot about nuclear weapons, nuclear waste, and especially just how to go about everyday life when it comes to nuclear as it relates to our life in today's society. And we also had protection of press because as there's many conflicts and wars going on, we were able to discuss that in great detail. And also we had a crisis, which is a kind of like a simulation in the moment live action kind of thing where we did the Falkland Islands. So I'm not sure if you guys know, around the 1980s, during Margaret Thatcher's time as the PM of the UK, she had to deal with that entire situation with the Falkland Islands near Argentina. So we also had to do that. But we had around 7 hours of committee, so the event lasted the entirety of the day, and we're fortunate to have all the facilities there for that day. So it was great. And next slide. So basically, I just want to talk about the student leadership that we were able to have, not just us, but the delegates as well. So we kind of had a 15-member Rocky Hill High School team that was put together. I was fortunate to lead the team, and we just kind of try to break apart our tasks into different stuff, just like the government works and functions. Is you break apart your finances, you break apart your technology, you break apart your just different agencies. That's kind of the way that we operated. So we kind of function like you guys did here in this panel today. So that's the way that we wanted to function, kind of as a board. And we spent countless of hours actually planning and going through logistics, which was, I remember having the meeting with Dr. Zito. We were discussing, we wanted to do a 2-day conference, but then we compromised to a 1-day conference because that just seemed as it was best fit. So that was kind of the intention, and fortunately that's where we went. Here are also members of the Secretariat. Yeah, so with that being said, also we were fortunate to have volunteers who were also instrumental in our success because it allowed for more community experience. Because these are many of the kids I never even knew or met in our school, and they came to support our event, and they participated in just making sure the logistics ran smoothly. And that's something that really helped our event just be an amazing event. And with that also, we had many of the delegates who developed like skills in public speaking, global affairs, and negotiation. So not only did we just learn so many skills from this event, we also had Glastonbury High School students learn skills, Amity, and even I think many of the chairs who were college students who came, they learned so much about Model UN and so much about how our world functions. So yeah, that's student leadership. So personal reflections, I just want to talk about a couple of things that are not really on the slide, but as a leader, I think I grew so much from this event because I had to put a lot of trust and faith into everyone, and they all executed to their best of their abilities. And that was something that I was a little bit hesitant at first to do because of, you always want things to run your own way, but that's not how the world works. The world works by having faith and having trust, and that was a skill that I was able to gain, and I'm so grateful to even have the opportunity to learn that at such a young age that I was able to gain that. And also public speaking has been a pleasure to do in Model UN. We've hosted our conference, and we also attended conferences at Boston, which we got a lot of support from the boards to do that. That was another way that we just further developed our skills, and that's why Model UN, I think, is such a great experience. It has negotiation, communication, even writing and research skills, and it makes you a much more civically minded person, as we know how important that is in today's society. But I'll hand it over to my other peers to do the reflection.
So, hi, my name is Anvi Bose. I was the Deputy Secretary General at this event, and I want to start off by apologizing for a bit of our delay. We were finding parking, and you know how it is when we're students. We don't really know how to reverse park that well. So, yeah. So it took us a little bit. But we're here now, and we are so, so blessed to be able to be in this space, getting your guys' feedback and letting you all know how our event went. I'm sure Don did a phenomenal job explaining it already. But I think the thing that I learned most was the value of working as a team, even when they are not shared interests, or there's conflict. Not all the time, like Adant was saying, we didn't always agree on everything. And although our event went extremely smoothly for how novel it was, the best part about it was that there was always a time when somebody else had a different perspective than you. And even if your perspective was the one that ended up making it through the whole conference, you still got to hear somebody else's input. And next time we do this event, which we hope we can do it next year and then carry it on as a legacy after we graduate, we have all these different perspectives. We took a lot of notes on them. We have a lot of organizational skills now that we built from this event that we're probably going to use next time we do this. And who knows, maybe next year we'll do it completely differently. But either way, a different way doesn't mean it's the wrong way or a bad way. And I think that's the spirit of Model UN in the whole. I'm not sure how familiar you guys are with Model UN, but when it comes to making resolutions and finding solutions to these problems that are orchestrated by the chairs, it's not always about finding the one right solution. It's usually about finding the solutions that work best together to help the most amount of people. So making this conference, that was exactly what we did. So yeah, that's my personal reflection on it. And again, thank you for your time.
Hello, my name is Suhan Waso. I'll keep it a little short. I had the pleasure of serving as the Director General of Technology for the conference. So if any of you have seen the website or any of the technicals behind it, that was me. I guess for me, the conference was definitely a very rewarding experience, and serving as a part of the Secretary was as well. But for me, I think one of the most inspiring parts was seeing the growth of the club from its founding in our freshman year. At the beginning, I feel we were still kind of fighting our footing. Last year, the idea for a conference was proposed, but we never really had the organization or the ability to follow through with it. But now, in just a year, we've grown to be able to have a conference with over 40 delegates from 4 schools. And I think I speak for all of us when I say that that is an accomplishment that we should all be really proud of. And not only was that something we took part of, that was something the students brought forth. That was something that we created. And I feel that's also something that should be appreciated as well. And thank you for everyone here who gave us the support to bring that vision that we had come to life. I feel like the conference was definitely a very strong form of true collaboration, whether it was the student chairs who were leading discussions or the volunteers who were helping us behind the scenes or even the secretariat who were working tirelessly in the weeks uploading the conference. I feel that that truly came together, and we can all look back on that and say that is definitely something we're proud to have participated in. And once again, just a thanks to everyone here and the lovely secretariat who made the experience not only enjoyable, but also possible. Thank you.
I'm Prithika Venugopal, and I was the Director General of Committees. So I helped develop the ideas which the delegates actually debated on and did handle the delegates and everything like that. So I had the personal privilege of going into each of those committees and asking delegates their actual feedback on the conference. I don't know how much that went into that, but I got to talk to the delegates one-on-one, and that truly was an experience, because it's different when you're seeing them actually in the committee and versus when they're actually talking to you about their committee. And I learned a lot about what they appreciate in a Model UN conference versus what they don't. And I think it would be really, not really cool, sorry. Well, yeah, really cool, but it's gonna be really helpful next year when we bring exactly what those delegates said. Like, I've never seen a more inspired group of students, especially in some of those committees, where they really just took the idea and they ran with it. I don't know how much that went into it, but some of the committees got really inspired with the topics that they were given, and they took it in a whole other direction, starting nuclear wars, and just fully went off the reins. And it was beautiful to see, honestly. Like, I never thought any of the things we did would lead students to so much like happiness, and just, it was really cool to see. And it was one thing which I was really shocked about. I wish I wasn't shocked about this, but seeing everyone's talents, like so many varying abilities come together. Like, I never thought the art team could help so much. Like, we have, he's not here with us right now, but Tyler, he helped make all the logos and some of the decoratives regarding it. And it was just truly impressive to see everyone's abilities come, because we had Ishan, the finance team, we had his STEM abilities come in handy, Suhan's IT abilities, and of course Anvi Nidhan's leadership. Seeing everyone's varying abilities just come together to create such a beautiful thing was very impressive. So.
All right, hi, I'm Ishan, last speaker, don't worry, we're almost done. So I was the co-director general of finance. My other co-director was Sid, he can't be here today. But so working on finance was honestly an experience. I've had experience in business before, not too much though. For this, I think it was really fun because, you know, meticulous months, not only to make sure that the conference is made possible with, you know, food and being able to purchase gavels and awards and whatnot, but also making sure that it's done comfortably, so within a certain budget, and making sure that, you know, everybody has a positive experience within the amount of money that we've been given. So I think that was fantastic, and I think that was really fun to make sure that it was almost like a puzzle solving it, so that was really fun. Along with being the co-director of finance, I was also able to be a co-chair for the conference, so I was in the protection of press. And so with that, I was actually able to see the delegates develop from, you know, from the starting point of the conference to the end point of the conference. And I think that, as all my fellow secretariat members have said, was a really inspiring experience, because, I mean, you know, you're walking into a room and you see these people, you don't know them, they're from all over the state, and somehow along the way they become best friends with each other, they make relations with each other, sometimes they start fighting with each other. As Prithika was saying, things got really heated, nuclear warfare. We even kicked North Korea out of a committee once, so that was pretty funny. But, you know, it was overall just a really inspiring experience, seeing people from around the state being able to come together, work together. And, you know, it was even better that it was our school that was able to host this conference for us. So I think it was just overall a fantastic experience and a great growth opportunity for the district itself. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, so before we close, I just wanted to mention our gratitude, our esteemed gratitude, because this wouldn't have been capable without the support of all of you guys. I remember meeting Mr. Slattery, around 2 years ago at a Fall Fest event, and that's kind of where this entire thing kicked off, right? Some small opportunities where I got to meet Mr. Slatty just for like 2-3 minutes really turned into entire story for the next 2 and 3 years, and hopefully a legacy that we can create at Rock Hill High School. Principal Fody has always been behind us, behind our support. He's always been there just to kind of support our ideas and continue to just champion our goals and our dreams and our ambitions. Our advisor, Mr. Judas, who isn't here today, has also been a great supporter that we've had. I don't know if many of you guys know this, but I asked around 18 teachers to become like our club advisor. Unfortunately, I got rejected all 18 times. But regardless, Mr. Judas was there, and he gave that yes that we needed to kind of start and kick off the club back in our freshman year. So he's been at the pinnacle of this entire program. Town Council member Prakash has also been monumental in just allowing me to connect with Mr. Slattery and just kind of also at the conference being a liaison. So he's been just foundational to its establishment and kind of its growth over the years. Mr. Chabra also came in attendance that day during our conference, so he was able to witness kind of what was going on, and I really am grateful for that. And just all of your guys' support and approval in this program, and I hope that in the future we continue to support the Model UN Club, and not just our club in general, but the clubs at Rock Hill High School. I feel that clubs are just a fantastic way to kind of step back from the traditional academics and go to something more important, something more, some of the soft skills that you can gain from clubs is unlike an experience like anything else, and hopefully you guys can continue to support us, and we are so grateful for having you guys right behind us, so thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I just have a couple silly photos from the event. Just wanted to show you guys, just to kind of put it out there. But we have like a couple of our other delegates from the other schools. So it really showed how, to me, I know many people when they step into like Magic Kingdom of like Walt Disney World, they'll be like, wow, this is such a special moment. For me, it was kind of stepping into the conference room. So it was really a magical experience for me. And a couple of the photos just for you guys to take in. But thank you guys so much for having us our back. And thank you for having us here.
Thank you so much. Is it Bose? How do you try? I want to make sure I pronounce it correctly.
Bosley.
Bosley.
Yeah.
Mr. Bosley, I have to say, when you first approached me with this idea, I knew it was a good idea, but I am astounded at how far you guys have taken it. I think it's fantastic. I think hearing about it before tonight, I was excited about it. Hearing feedback from Mr. Fody, but listening to you guys tonight talk about it, clearly you guys hit the ground running and really turned it into something special. So I do hope that it continues. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
And shout out to Mr. Dudas, too. He's always willing to step up. All right. Moving along to agenda item number 3, audience participation. This is the portion of the meeting that is open to the public. Set aside, speakers are asked to limit their comments to 2 minutes on any topic. Anybody here to address the board tonight? Mr. Prakash. Please just give your name and address for the record. Of course. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for this time to speak to the Board of Ed. I just want to start here, I will be putting these comments, I'm going to reading them in so that I keep within the time limit and don't go over like the 2-hour limit, hopefully. So, Pankaj Prakash, 82 Andover Drive, member of the Rock Hill Town Council, chair of the Public Safety Committee, school liaison, and majority leader. Once every 2 years, like clockwork, the Democratic Town Committee members complain about my job, the job that I'm doing as a school liaison, writing letters, engaging in personal attacks to score political points. This is a biannual ritual reserved for election years only. As I'm not aware of these letters being written in the years between election years. So I would like to take this moment and respond to a recent letter and certain FB posts, Facebook posts, circulated by the Democrats on the Board of Ed here, signed in their personal capacity. I'm always engaged in conversation with several BOE members who are here, pretty much everyone from time to time, regarding school safety, curriculum, infrastructure, and of course the budget, which is the big ticket item. This year is no different. Over the last several months, I have had multiple discussions and numerous text exchanges with Democratic BOE member, Mr. Tom Kosker here, centered around this year's budget. I met with Mr. Kosker many times in person to understand board's needs and to advocate for a responsible school budget at the town council. Considering this fact, it is easy to conclude that the Democrats on this board were aware of my conversations with one of their own, but willfully ignored this fact and misled the public by signing a politically motivated personal attack with several false claims, including that the town council has cut BOE budget this year. Mr. Kosker and I have not always agreed on everything, as you can imagine. But I think we do agree on this. The BOE budget was increased by $1.9 million this year, which is 3.6% increase over the last year. Those are just the facts. Look, showing up for the kids in our community doesn't stop at BOE meetings. It is about being present for them in real and meaningful ways. Sometimes that means having hard conversations about BOE budgets with members like Mr. Kosker, and sometimes that means cheering for the kids as they knock it out of the park. Whether it is at high school events, sports events, or at the first ever Model UN conference here in Rocky Hill. It would have been great to see at least one of the Democrats on this board showing up for our kids at these milestone events. It is truly disappointing that many of them don't. I reject the suggestion from the Democrats on the BOE that being a school liaison is about checking boxes. I am proud of being out here in our community, going above and beyond and doing my job, listening, showing up, and caring for our residents, both in public and behind the scenes when nobody's watching. I suggest that the Democrats on the BOE do the same. Get out of this boardroom and show up in our community, as I will continue to do, whether it is an election year or not. Showing up when it matters, where it matters, for all our students and for our residents. Thank you for your time, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Prakash. Is
Can
there
I-
anyone else?
Can I reply to that?
No, we don't,
No?
there's no deliberating on the,
Right, but we do show
At
up,
the-
Steve. We do show up.
there's no deliberating at the meeting. I got you, I
But we
got you.
show up. We're very
right.
much in the public.
Is there anyone else who is here to address the board tonight?
Crazy.
Please, if you could just state your name and address for the record, please. Thank you.
Every country. Hi, my name is Amber Saparoso, and I live at 16 Crowell Farm Road. I was on my phone the other day scrolling through Facebook, and I saw a post about, from the Rocky Hill Democratic Town Committee, posting about Rocky Hill's 25-26 budget and the cut of $650,000, and where those cuts were made and how it impacted the school system. Why I am here today is the section where it says merging elementary school special education programs. West Hill and Stevens schools currently offer a special education program for students with autism and other disabilities in grades K to 3 for the upcoming school year. These programs will be merging for a better delivery by one certified staff member and their team. The reduction in spending will be $91,771. I'm not happy with that. I'm a special ed teacher, a former Rocky Hill special ed teacher, and I taught one of those programs, and I'm sorry if I get emotional. It was very emotional for me. However, we have the neediest the most impacted students in these classes. And to merge with one certified teacher, it could be done because you have the best teachers in this district. It was my honor working with them. I learned so much for them, and I hope I taught them something. They're good, no, excuse me, they're great teachers. However, when you take away the support staff and even a teacher of a classroom with those needs of those students, I'm going to be honest, it's a lot on that teacher. These are individual programs and individual lesson plans for each of those students that needs to be made up daily. So now you're going to take two teachers, merge them into one, and expect them to do that? I would really encourage you to think about it. And I know you said you can't respond, but I have a few questions I would like to ask the board. And if you could quietly just raise your hand, if you can answer them, if it's acceptable. If not, I'll just read the questions. Excuse me, I gotta.
If you could just read the questions, we can take them at another
Okay,
time.
that will be fine.
Thank
I
you.
understand. So for all the board members, it doesn't matter if you're Republican or Democrat. You are a person in this town. You are a resident in this town. And you have an important part being on the Board of Ed. Have you visited the Compass program at West Hill? Have you visited the special education resource classes at West Hill? Have you visited, have you visited the life skills program at Stevens? How about the KIP program? That's our autistic program, which you are considering merging. Many of those students have one-to-ones. Many of the students are nonverbal. Their lesson plans that the teachers need to create daily is an amount, a massive amount. Moving to, and in Stevens, have you seen life skills programs? And I believe life skills, KIP. Have you been to the special ed resource rooms over at Stevens? Right, because we're all a team. Special ed in this school system is a team. Have you been to Mosier? Have you been to the life skills program over at Mosier? Have you been to the Compass program over at Mosier? Compass is the behavior program that we house. Do you understand that there is a life skills program and a Compass program at Mosier with one certified teacher? Two different functions, two different types of students. You never filled that position after I left it. You filled it with one teacher for two programs. Think about it. How about at GMS? Have you visited any of the special ed programs? I know, I'm sure you guys all been a part of the Challengers, right? That's wonderful for our students with special needs or special education. Have you been to Unified Sports? And I believe Mosier has a Unified Theater now. Have you been to that? Sure, I'm sure. But we also need to look at the day-to-day programs that are going on in this district that affect the special education students. Whether they're impacted immensely or whether they're impacted, maybe they see a resource teacher once or twice a week. These are children who are living in this town. And I know a lot of the times parents can't make it to these meetings or watch it or don't speak up. Because if you take a child out of the home and go somewhere else different, their routine is off. Some may not understand, so parents may not have babysitters either. So I am here to speak for them when some don't have a voice. So please consider that section of the budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Saparosa. I would encourage you to stick around. Ms.
Yep.
Stevenson is going to be doing a full report on special education services.
And actually,
Your part in the agenda.
the presentation that I'm going to do tonight is actually going to answer some of the questions that you asked and tie right into a lot of things that you said, so you should definitely stay.
Thank you, Ms. Saparosa. Is there anyone else here to address the board tonight? Mr. Russell.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak again on behalf of the teachers of the Rocky Hill Public Schools. My name is Douglas Russell, co-president of the RHTA. We would like to take this opportunity to address the survey results in further detail and to follow up on Mr. Slattery's closing remarks at the May 15th Board of Education meeting. We appreciate and agree with your acknowledgement of the importance of following the district's chain of command, or hierarchy as you described it. As teachers, we have decades of experience with changes in policies, state legislation, and addressing the ever-changing needs of the students. Whether it be least restrictive environments, safe school climate, or restorative practices, we have always been fully committed. However, in order to implement initiatives effectively, we need clear guidance and support from central office, along with sufficient time and professional development. Our members are eager and willing to rise to the occasion, as we always have. But we cannot do so without the direction and the partnership from those leading the way. We have always rolled up our sleeves and done what needed to be done. We also want to clarify that our teachers' concerns are not with the concept of hierarchy or the policies themselves. Rather, they stem from an increasingly difficult and unhealthy working culture that has been developed over time. As reflected in our recent climate and culture survey completed by 132 out of the approximately 250 members from all five schools, many teachers report a lack of transparency, communication, and adequate training related to new expectations. This is not due to a single event, but rather a buildup of ongoing issues that have led to frustration and concern. Furthermore, results from the survey confirm that, at best, teachers believe there is a lack of direction, communication, and transparency to the specifics coming from the state. At worst, teachers are not feeling valued as trusted professionals and are working under conditions that promote tension and intimidation and a fear of retaliation. These conditions are not conducive to the healthy, collaborative environment we want for all our schools. To be clear, we would like a culture of collaboration, not one of blind compliance. 90% of the respondents answered yes to the question of if they feared retaliation from central office. Survey comments reflect that teachers are hesitant to speak up, raise concerns, advocate for students, or share ideas, which is damaging collaboration, morale, and innovation. Over time, this has eroded staff well-being, has weakened leadership credibility, and has negatively impacted student outcomes. A healthy school culture depends on open communication, innovation, trust, and the freedom to voice concerns without fear. We have had the opportunity to meet with Dr. Zito, where we were able to voice our concerns and begin a productive dialogue. While this is a positive first step, both sides recognize that much work remains. We are hopeful that continued collaboration and changes will help us move forward in a way that supports students, teachers, and our community. Our students deserve to go to school in a place that fosters trust, respect, and open communication with all of its stakeholders, a place where educators feel safe to speak up, collaborate, innovate, and advocate for what's best for learners. When teachers thrive in an empowering, safe, supportive environment, students benefit from a stronger, more responsive educational experience. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Russell. And Mr. Russell, well, this isn't really in response to Mr. Russell, but it is part of my committee report, my chairman's report, and in case you can't stick around for the entire meeting, I'm going to say that part now. My idea for next year is to meet with have a delegation of the Board of Ed, the central office, and yourself, if you're still in the position, probably every 3 months. And this way, we all have we can all sit at the same table. So that was going to be part of my chairman's report. Thank you for coming out last meeting. I didn't know you were coming. Obviously, I had some time to think about what you said. I think everybody at the table agrees that collaboration is key to success. So I think that that'll be a good step in the right direction, just to make sure that everybody has a voice. So we appreciate that. You're welcome. All right. Moving back to the agenda, well, actually, is there anyone else who's here to address the board tonight? All right. Seeing none, we'll move along to agenda item number 4, which is approval of minutes. There's a few on here tonight, so bear with me while I read through them. We have the May 13th, 2025 Board of Education Facilities Committee meeting, the May 13th, 2025 Board of Education School Safety Committee meeting, the May 13th, 2025 Board of Education Policy Committee meeting, the May 15th, 2025 Board of Education Special Meeting, the May 15th, 2025 Board of Education meeting, the June 2nd, 2025 Board of Education special meeting, the June 2nd, 2025 Board of Education Facilities Committee meeting, the June 2nd, 2025 Board of Education Personnel and Negotiations Committee meeting, June 5th, 2025 Board of Education special meeting, the June 5th, 2025 Board of Education Policy Committee meeting, and the June 5th, 2025 Board of Education Special Education Committee meeting. Does anyone, would anyone like to add any, make any corrections, deletions, anything to any of the minutes? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion to approve the minutes.
All right, moved by Mr. Gavin. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Manella. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? All right, 8-0, the minutes are approved. Moving along to agenda item number 5, correspondence. Dr. Zito?
Thank you. A number of items of correspondence for the board tonight. The first is a note of appreciation from Kathy Briggs, who's a paraeducator at GMS, to the Rocky Hill Board of Education and Central Office. Thank you for the very generous gift card to Carbine's Prime. I will enjoy a delicious dinner with my family. It's been a pleasure working at GMS all of these years. Thank you again, Ms. Kathy Briggs. This is a tough one to read. Dear board members, I'm Christine Flynn. Thank you for the gift card to one of my favorite restaurants, Rooster Company in Newington. Kim and I love going there, and we will enjoy another visit together. With deep appreciation, I thank you for your support, encouragement, and friendship over the years. Rocky Hill is a wonderful community, and I was fortunate to be a part of it. Wishing you all continued success in keeping our schools the best. Fondly, Christine Flynn. Christine is at her niece's college graduation tonight and could not be here, but wanted me to read that note. Another tough one to read. He's at the table here. Chuck. Board members, so grateful there are amazing people in this world, people like all of you. Thank you for the generous gift card to Home Depot. That seems like something Chuck would enjoy. Will be good use to us, a good use now that I will have time to go do projects around the house. Thank you for all the support you've given me during my time in Rocky Hill. And then a note from the incoming principal at West Hill, personalized to each board member by name. Dear Steve, Amber, Maria, Jessica, Sean, Thomas, Brian, Jay, Jennifer, thank you so much for the opportunity to serve as West Hill's new principal. I'm beyond thrilled and can't wait to get started. Thank you for your support and trust in me. I'm so grateful to be a part of such a wonderful team here in Rocky Hill. Thank you, Cara Quinn. So, very nice notes in correspondence from various people throughout the school system. That's it for correspondence.
Thank you, Dr. Zito. All right, moving along to agenda item number 6 is the consent calendar. On the consent calendar tonight, we have the adoption of the Rocky Hill Board of Education 2025-2028. The approval of recently negotiated contracts between the Rocky Hill Public Schools and the Rocky Secretaries and Rocky Hill Paraeducators. I think the microphone's going in and out. I'm not touching anything, I swear. Approval of the 2025-2026 lunch breakfast prices. All right. Would anyone like anything added or removed from the consent calendar? All right, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar.
Motion to approve the consent calendar.
Moved by Mr. Gavin. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Shabra. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? All right, the ayes have it, 8-0. Consent calendar is approved. All right, moving into committee reports. First,
Steven, can I make a motion to take a 5-minute break so these guys can get out?
oh yeah, let's do that. We usually take a 5-minute break so that people can take pictures and do their thing. So let's. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn for 5 minutes or for a 5-minute recess.
Hard 5.
Hard 5.
Hard.
Moved by Mr. Shabra. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Kosker. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, 8-0. We're in recess for 5 minutes.
7:46, John.
Thank.
Yep. It's not a 5, that's 10. Small group.
Mics are on.
All right, call back to order this special meeting of the Board of Education, Rocky Hill. It is now 7:47. My apologies, Mr. Kosker.
Good, pretty good.
It was a hard 6. All right, moving along onto committee reports. Agenda item number 7 is Curriculum Committee. That is Ms. Tucker. We did not have any reason to meet for curriculum since the last meeting. Number 8 is Facilities Committee, Mr. Gavin.
The Facilities Committee meeting had a meeting on June 2nd, and we got a very nice update from Ron regarding the HVAC system continuing project at Stevens School, where they're going to begin work shortly. He also gave us a great design for potential upgrades at the GMS Media Center and Technology Classroom, which looked great, and if you've been in those rooms, they need a good rehab. We went through and discussed the design process for the West Hill roof, which is next summer, right? Next summer, not this summer. And also, we got a very nice presentation on a lacrosse rebound wall that has been requested so that the students don't throw the lacrosse balls at the high school any longer. That was an interesting one. But want to thank Ron for all the great work he did and putting together all the projects and designs and the presentation that he gave us that evening.
Thank you, Mr. Gavin. Any questions? Mr. Kosker?
Yeah, thanks, Sean, for the update. I appreciate it. I just want to add 2 little details because I was at the meeting. That the HVAC, just so people are aware, it's the gym that's happening this summer. Just wanted to add that little detail. That once school's out, which is now, so next week or so, the HVAC will be extended to the gym area. So I just want to add that detail. And yes, it's next summer, it looks like. So the West Hill roof design is this summer, and then we'll get around to doing some of the work next summer, which you stated. So thank you for the update. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Kosker. Yeah, and with respect to the roof, with the West Hill roof, because I know that was talked about, obviously there's a process, so the funding has to be in place before we can apply for grants. The design is set to be complete by September of this year. From there, then we can apply for grants, plan a review, go out to bid in early 2026. Construction is expected to hopefully start the last day, is it the first day school's out, 26, 27, so next summer. Just want to be clear so that everyone, I know that was an issue that was concerned, that people were concerned about. In the interim, and I had this in my chairman's report as well, but in the interim, Ron, our fabulous facilities guy, has been addressing any issues as they arise. I want to assure the public that there's not any unsafe condition at West Hill, that he is on top of it. Any issue that does pop up, he deals with it and is constantly making sure that the school is safe and effective for learning. Right now, it's costing the board probably $4,000 or $5,000 a year, roughly per year, to deal with those repairs. But it is not a catastrophic emergency, and Ron is on top of it. And if circumstances change, he'll let us know, and obviously it'll be brought to the board's attention, and we'll deal with it appropriately. So big shout out to Ron on that, and for basically playing whack-a-mole while we go through the process of doing it the right way. And the reason it's important to do that is the grant would cover a significant portion of that $2.2 million, so of that expected cost. Yes, Mr. Kosker.
If I might, I'm sorry, just one more thing, again, just as more detail, and I appreciate, again, Sean mentioning the Griswold Middle School Media Center, because that was a great presentation that they put together. So this is in the design phases, again, just to be clear with the public. This is in design phases early on to get those designs so that they can eventually go out to bid. It's kind of a down-the-road project that the board has to set aside money for, so that's kind of a down-the-road thing that the board will work on figuring that out, but it was a great presentation, but it's in the early stages for that. Yes. I think. I'm thinking
correct.
I'm accurate on that. Okay.
And maybe Mr. Kosker makes a good point for the public to understand that when we're planning these projects, we have to plan them out in years in advance because they do take time as far as lining them up, and you always want to be our goal is to always always have one project in design, one project being done, and one project in the queue. And so the presentation that Ron gave us a lineup of about 3 or 4 projects going out to, I believe it was 2029. Doesn't mean that those are priorities or that they're necessarily going to go in that order, or that but those are the projections of things on the horizon and the radar that the board will consider as we move through the years. Thank you, Mr. Kosker. And thank you, Mr. Gavin.
Anytime.
All right, moving along to Finance Committee, that is Ms. Tucker, and that committee did not meet. Personnel negotiations, number 10, Mr. Gavin.
Yes, we, Personnel Negotiations had a meeting also on June 2nd. At the time, Dr. Zito went through the board policies for hiring certified staff and hiring non-certified staff so that we would have a better understanding of the process. We also reviewed the proposed agreements for the secretaries and the paraeducators, which we just passed in the consent calendar.
Thank you, Mr. Gavin. Any questions? All right, moving along to agenda item number 11. That is the Policy Committee report. Mr. Schauer.
We did have a meeting on June 5th. There are 7 policies that are on the agenda later on for second reading and board anticipation on the vote. And we have one policy that is being repealed. It's an old policy, which one of the new ones is replacing that.
Correct. And I guess we could talk, I'll say a little bit more about that now, just because I think we're just going to adopt it later. For the purposes of, so those policies are school security and safety, visitors and observations in the school, prohibition of sex discrimination and sexual harassment in place personnel, prohibition of sex discrimination, sexual harassment of the students, Connecticut School Climate Plan and Administrative Regulations, that's one of the new ones, and Restorative Practices Response Policy, which is another one of the new ones, and then student discipline. The repeal that Mr. Chabra is discussing or was mentioning is I believe it's the bullying policy, and that's because it's being replaced by the School Climate Plan and Administrative Regulations. So it's, and all of these policy, either updates or additions are in direct response to either changes in legislation from the state legislature or new laws that were passed by the state legislature and are being added to our policies to comport with the law. And those policies, adoption of those policies is on the agenda for later. All right.
Steve?
Any questions?
Yeah, more of a comment, if that's okay?
Sure.
Yeah, so thank you for reading them, because there are a bunch of them. There's been a lot of policy work. This board has met a lot. As you saw by our adoption of the minutes, there's been a ton of meetings over the last couple of months. But there's a whole bunch of policies, and I do appreciate all the work that admin has done in the committee going through all those, because we had a lot of conversations back and forth about a lot of the details in those. So I really appreciate that. Also, I'll mention this, that because one of my questions is, how do we know about these policies as a public, right? With board, we know. So, many of these are, or maybe all of them, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Zito or Chairman Steve, are either on our website, on our board website, or in the case of student policies, end up being referred to in our student handbook. So for the public out there that's, wondering about these or whatever, you get the student handbook. I know I have trouble reading it because it's pretty long, but it's in there, right? So the stuff's in there, and it's referred to in those handbooks, and it's also on our website. So if you have any questions about these, it's out there. So I just wanted to mention that.
Certainly, and the policies are essentially the law of the land in the district. It's the equivalent of our statutes here in Connecticut. Thank you, Tom. All right, moving on to number 12, special education. That is Ms. Tucker, and I'm cover that for her. We did have a special education meeting on, I believe it was June 5th. At that meeting, Jesse Harmon was present and presented to us the results of the state audit that was done. I believe it was a random audit, if I remember correctly. And those the results of that audit were presented to the board, and there were, we learned about a lot of the things that we're doing really well, and then some of the things that we can improve on, which everyone, any district can always improve. So I want to thank Ms. Harmon for that presentation, and then also with respect to special education. Ms. Stevenson will be giving a full report at her point on the agenda later tonight. So,
Correct.
all right. Moving along to agenda item number 13.
If I might, on special education, I'm sorry.
I think we can hold the questions until Ms. Stevenson.
And talk about the audit?
Yeah, until Ms. Stevenson.
The presentation has nothing to do with the audit, so.
I just want to make a couple comments just to fill in some blanks on the audit, that's all. But, Chair.
I mean, if you have a question, I think a question would be
It was just a more
appropriate.
comment. I'm a member of the committee, so I was just going to comment on the discussion at the
And,
meeting.
yeah,
that's
with Ms. Tucker being absent tonight, I'll allow it, yeah.
Thank you very much. So I just wanted to say, yeah, so the audit is, I think it's every 3 to 5 years, every school in the state, district in the state gets a special education audit. So that's what this was part of. There was an unannounced visit as part of the audit. There was a desk audit, which is them, kind of doing work behind the scenes, looking at records that the district provides, which are extensive. And overall, it was very positive. So I did want to say that and mention that. It was a very positive audit, the results. There were some classroom observations as well. There were staff interviews. There was parent interviews. So it's fairly thorough. Again, they can't look at everything in the district, of course, but they went to, I think it's 4 out of the 5 schools they looked at as well and visited. So it was pretty thorough. And overall, it was very positive. There were some, corrective actions here and there that the district is taking action on, but nothing major. So overall, I thought it was very positive. So I just want to comment on that. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Kosker. Moving along to agenda item number 13, correct counsel, Mr. Schaber.
I have nothing since the last meeting.
All right, Mr. Schaber. Moving along to agenda item number 14, school safety, Mr. Clemens.
We have not met since our last meeting. However, Officer Jordan, one of our phenomenal SROs, has made the decision to go back onto patrol. I ran into Chief Collette the other day. He will have a replacement for Officer Jordan within the month, he believes.
Excellent.
Officer Jordan will be greatly missed at our elementary schools in Mosier.
I can vouch for that. Isabella goes there. My Isabella goes there.
Can we have a round of applause?
But I guess we'll take a moment just to thank Jordan, Officer Jordan, thank you. Officer Jordan for the work that he has done there. I mean, he really has connected with those kids and I think gone above and beyond what anyone would necessarily expect from a school resource officer. So we certainly wish him well in his next endeavor and hate the fact that he's moving along, but thank you for all the service that he provided to the school district. All right, moving along to agenda item number 15. The last committee report is Mr. Gavin on technology.
The Technology Committee has not met from the last meeting.
All right, thank you, Mr. Gavin. Moving along to agenda item number 16, the much discussed Board of Education policy additions and revisions. Any questions or I guess Dr. Zito, do you want to do a quick rundown? I mean, I just laid the policies out. I think so with that, I'll entertain.
Full committee meetings on it, so.
Yeah, so we did have two full committee meetings working through them. Again, there are 2 new policies, so we really wanted to make sure that we fully understood the breadth of those. I would encourage the families out there to read them as well because they are new. And does anyone have any comments other than discussions we've had during the committee reports? All right, with that, I'll entertain a motion to adopt the policy additions and revisions as previously stated.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Kosker. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Clemens. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. All right. Those new policies and revisions to old policies are approved, 8-0. All right, moving along to agenda item number 17, which ties back into our adopting those policies. Now that those policies are adopted, agenda item number 17 is to repeal the Board of Education policy number 5310, bullying prevention and intervention policy, and 5320, safe school climate plan. And the reason that these are, again, just to touch, I don't want, if somebody just is hearing that part, the reason that those are being repealed is because they are being replaced by the new policies which adopt the new legislation. Any further discussion or comments on that? All right, with that, I'll entertain a motion to repeal the policies as stated.
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Lafredo. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Schauber. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. All right. Those policies are repealed, 8-0. Agenda item number 18 is approval of food service contract with Sodexo. If there's any discussion on that. Bear with me one second. This is,
Chuck may want to give you an update on
yeah. Chuck, if you'd like to give us a quick update on this?
Sure, yep. So, as you can see, in accordance with the USDA guidelines and Connecticut State Department of Education, school districts are required to go to bid for the management of food service programs every 5 years. We had 6 companies that participated in our mandatory walkthrough and 3 companies who submitted bids. Upon review of the bid documents and scoring each submission, it was determined that Sodexo, our current food service management company, be awarded the bid. These agreements are for a period of 1 year with the option of up to 4 additional 1-year renewals. And you can see in your board packet on the second, I just put together a highlight as to some of the things that we went through as a committee to determine, which vendor the district should select. It is quite an extensive process, very lengthy, and there's a lot of things that go into the process. But in the end, we did feel that Sodexo was above and beyond the other people who submitted a bid.
Thank you, Mr. Zettergren. Anyone have any questions for Mr. Zettergren? All right. Seeing none, I will entertain a motion to approve the food service contract with Sodexo.
Motion to approve the food service contract with Sodexo.
All right, moved by Mr. Gavin. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Lafredo. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say nay. All right. Food service contract with Sodexo is approved, 8-0. And I will say, I shout out to them. I think they're doing a great job. Since they've taken over, how long have we been with Sodexo?
Long time.
Yeah, wow.
Too long.
They're doing a great job. 15 years at least. And they helped out with big shout out to them too, because they helped out with Challenger Day, which was great. All right, moving along to agenda item number 19, which is adoption of the 2025-2026 Board of Education budget and capital improvement plan. We did have an extensive meeting to go. Well, we had extensive budget process, and then we had a meeting to go through the adjustment based on the reduction from the town council. And so we have a resolution prepared based on that new number. Ms. Manella.
Yep. Be it resolved that the Rocky Hill Board of Education hereby adopts its operating budget for fiscal year 2025-2026 in the amount of $55,491,771. $55,491,771 in accordance with the Town Council fiscal year 2025-2026 budget resolution adopted on May 15, 2025.
All right. Do we vote on that? Yes. All right. With that, I will entertain a. Do we have to second that? We do. Do I have a second? Seconded by Ms. Barron-Morphia. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right. The ayes have it, 8-0. The new number is adopted. Thank you for reading that, Maria. I know that's a difficult number to read. Every year I stumble on it.
Yes, keeps going higher.
We don't usually talk in those big of a number. All right, along to agenda item number 20, Assistant Superintendent for Personnel and Student Services, Ms. Stevens.
Okay, because it's written on
part
there,
of
that's,
The CIP is an appropriation that the town keeps under their control.
just because I saw it written there, I was like, thank you.
I saw your face.
Yeah, I was like, "Wait, did we miss that? Okay, thank you.
Okay, so good evening, everyone. I have two reports to give tonight. So the first report is a video, very short video. Mr. Kosker had asked, I think it was a while ago, for some pictures of the students at the Dream Academy that weren't just at the cafe, that were throughout the year, because I tend to focus on the cafe a little bit. So we did, not when I say we, I do not mean me, I mean the staff at the Dream Academy put together this short video. So we'll go ahead and watch this, and then I'm going to go ahead and do the second report, which is a PowerPoint. So we can go ahead and press play. Right. I think it's replaying. Okay. So the kids had a great year, a lot of great experiences. And I know you guys probably didn't notice, but there's one student in there that was in a lot of the group pictures and the trip pictures who was not going on trips previously. And this year he went on almost all of the trips with the kids. So it was pretty amazing to see that. So I'm very excited. Okay. So I'm going to give you a report tonight. And it actually ties in with some of the things that have been said here tonight. So I think it's good timing. This is the end of the school year. It's June. It's our last board meeting, and I've been reflecting a lot. This is my 8th year in the district, and I've been reflecting a lot about, the work that I've done here. And I was thinking about it based on some of the questions that people were asking. This is a completely different board than was the board when I was hired. Maria is the only person that was on the board when I was hired. And I remember the night that I was hired, and Frank Morse was the board chair. Brian Dillon was the vice chair at the time. And the question that I was asked at the interview, Frank asked me a question at the end of my interview, and he said, "Why should we hire you?" And my answer was, because I'm going to be the strongest advocate for students that you've ever known. That was my answer. And a couple hours later, Dr. Zito called and said, "You got the job." And so I've thought about what that advocacy looks like. Like, what does that mean? What does an advocate mean? So I just typed it in, and a Wordle came up, and some of the words that were there defender, supporter, upholder. And then I started thinking about how my role became a dual role because now I oversee HR, which was also under some of you, I think were there for that, but it was a different board as well. And I started thinking about all the things that I oversee now, and one of the things is hiring, because I am now responsible for all the hiring and the onboarding and all of that. And I started thinking about some of the questions that were asked about some of the specialized programming, and I started really thinking about it. And somebody made a comment here tonight and said, we have the best teachers in this district, and we do. We have amazing staff in this district. And when I came here, and I know I talk about this, but I want to give you a really close glimpse of what this looks like tonight in this PowerPoint. We did not have what's called a continuum of services. And what a continuum of services means is that you have to make sure that there are programs in every school from pre-K all the way to age 22. And when I came here 8 years ago, Rocky Hill did not have that. We had Bright Beginnings, there was a Pathways program, and there was a kind of a very small version of KIP that really was mostly preschool. And, you know, in my commitment to advocate for students, I said, we have to create programs. And that's a real leap of faith that the board put in me, because when you add programs, you have to add staff. You have to hire people because you need staff to run the programs, and you have to hire teachers, and you have to hire paras, and you have to get space. There's a lot you have to do, which is why sometimes some directors just say, hey, we'll outplace the students, because it is a lot of work to create programming, because you have to ensure that the programming is sustainable. That's very important. But I think that's an important goal. And I want to show you over the 8 years some of the programs that we've created, because as board members, it would be great if you could just walk into West Hill School and walk into Compass, but you can't do that because that's a specialized program, and you can't just walk in because it's kind of, there's some confidentiality there, so that wouldn't be appropriate. But it is appropriate for me to kind of show you some of the pictures of what the kids do and the amazing staff that run these programs, because we now have programs all the way from pre-K all the way up till age 22. I've been here. I've hired almost all of them. They're amazing teachers. And I want to showcase to you these wonderful teachers who work so hard to put students first and advocate for our most vulnerable students that we have in the district. So we can go ahead. I don't know if I have a thing to click. Are we clicking? What's going on here? Every time.
Stay close.
Okay, yeah, thanks. Okay, we're good. All right. So the first program, and I know there was a question about this in one of our meetings a couple weeks ago, it was Kids in Progress, which is our KIP program. So I just want to clarify something. KIP this year is at both schools. It's at Stevens and West Hill. This is the first year it's ever been separated. It's never been in both schools before. That's never happened. It's always been at just one school. It's always been condensed, always. This is the first year that it ever was. And the only reason it was is because we did have an influx of kids. We had a lot of students, so we tried it out to kind of separate it. Condensing it makes a lot of sense. It's completely appropriate. The enrollment has gone down, and it's very manageable. And the teacher, actually one of the teachers, is wonderful, and she did ask for a different assignment, so we are honoring that. So it's very appropriate. But this is our KIP program, and this is the one at West Hill this year. And okay, so I had asked the staff to put together a little PowerPoint for me, and it was interesting. Amber DuPont is our teacher for KIP. Actually, Mr. And I hired her about a year and a half ago. She's amazing. Ron and I were just talking about her. And she wrote right here, our dedicated staff always puts students' needs first, because that is what they do. She's an amazing teacher. And, you know, the related services staff and the paras in the program, who my office also hires, are simply amazing. We have Emily St. John as our BCBA, Elena Rappaport, they were new this year, and they're wonderful additions to the team. They're great. So the kids at KIP, so what they do is it's called structured play. And this is something that is really amazing because they have their peers come and play with them so that they can have access to their peers. They would not get this in an outplacement. This would not be something that they could do, and this is something that they're able to do in our schools because of this program. And Amber DuPont is amazing and runs this, and the staff at West Hill is amazing, and they embrace it. It's great. The students at KIPP got to participate in the fun run. So this was, one of many opportunities that the KIPP program, the kids could participate in. They would not have been able to do that if they were out of district. Meals on Wheels, Mustang Meals on Wheels. I think this is awesome. So KIPP partners with Sodexo and the Learning Center, which is another program, to start the Mustang Meals on Wheels program so that our students could have access to valuable vocational opportunities that would set them up for success later in life. They sold snacks to teachers throughout the school and partnered with the PTO to get teachers free snack coupons for Teacher Appreciation Week. So this is amazing. So these kids are well known in the community, in the West Hill community. And when I got to the district, these kids, they said, we don't have any programming for them, they need to get outplaced. And that was kind of what had been done. And this program has been well sustained and is run by Amber DuPont, who's awesome. Stevens School KIPP program. So this year we did separate KIPP. It's the first year we've ever done it. And Kate Ewell runs KIPP at Stevens. She's awesome. I did not hire Kate, but I did put her in the program, and she had a great attitude about it. She's flexible, and she, took it on with open arms and has done an amazing job. Every Friday, students in KIPP work together to prepare delivery bags, pack orders, and make deliveries to teachers around the school. So again, they're well known in the community. It's a great program. They also do structured play with their peer groups, so that their peers know them and that they can be with their peers and be active members of their school community. And the paras in KIPP are amazing. Mostly, someone said tonight, they are mostly one-to-ones. They're amazing para educators, and they work really hard. So you see them working hard, laughing. And they got to participate in field day. So our students had the best time participating in field day with their general education classes. Everyone had so much fun. So again, they never would have been able to do this if they were outplaced. So this is really, truly amazing. And I want to thank Kate Ewell and her staff for the amazing job that they do, again, with our most vulnerable students. This is the Learning Center. The Learning Center, so this was also the first year that we separated the Learning Center at West Hill and Stevens, and we are continuing that model for next year because the numbers are very large, and so we cannot condense it because they are too big. So the Learning Center we have one at West Hill, and these students receive a wide range of services, one-to-one, small group, paraprofessional support. Lauren Miranda is the teacher. Dr. Zito and I hired her a couple years ago. She's wonderful. Again, she embraced this role with open arms and is doing a phenomenal job, and the students are, every time I go in the classroom, it's just, the kids are amazing, and then her staff is amazing. These are the para-educators that are in the program, Jamie, Mary, and Caitlin, and they're really wonderful para-educators. We have Maggie Bombachi and two occupational therapists, Lori and Stephanie. And again, we have BCBAs, Bruce and Emily St. John, and again, our speech and language pathologist, Elena, who's been a great addition. So the students, they spend a lot of time. When you have a specialized program and kids have specialized needs, a way to kind of help them learn in a non-traditional way is to use kind of play-based learning, arts and crafts, movement, music, things like that. So the kids are really engaged and active in their learning. Music and movement is an important time. So these programs, and again, that's great. I am an advocate for kids. I can have a vision. I can say, okay, I have a vision. This is what we have to do. The board places their trust in me to say, okay, we're going to trust you. But at the end of the day, it's hiring the right people who can sustain and make these programs what they are. And that is truly what we've done. And this is our life skills program. Uh-oh, no, don't go. Where are you going? I don't know what just happened. Okay, what's going on? Okay, so this is our life skills program at Stevens. Rachel Vegerano is our life skills teacher, and she's new this year. Miss Durand and I hired her over the summer. She's wonderful. She embraced this role, and she's done a great job. The paraeducators are amazing. I've been in this classroom a number of times. The kids are super engaged, and she's doing a great job. And again, while it wouldn't necessarily be appropriate for you guys to walk in the classroom as board members, I wanted you to see what these programs look like, because I think it's important that you have an understanding of what these programs are and what it does take to sustain them in terms of staff, equipment, space, all of that. Life Skills serves students from K to 3 at Stevens School with various disabilities, providing instruction and support. It's a wonderful space. Our staff is very talented at creating spaces. Ron LaMontagne, our facilities director, is very helpful with this and always does a great job with staff helping to create the spaces that we need for our students. So this is our life skills students learning at their stations. They also do structured play. So this is, again, they do structured play at Stevens so that they can spend time with their peers and develop communication skills, social skills, and play skills. And they do adapted specials, okay? So sometimes they can't always participate in some of the specials the way everybody else can, but our specials teachers are wonderful, and we do adapted specials, and a lot of times the OTs and the PTs assist with that so that the students can access the specials. This would not be happening if the students were outplaced. Task box bins, so they can have engaged learning. Special events. So they participated in Glow Dance, Holiday Fun, and the 100th Day of School. Again, they're participating in all of these community events with their peers. And Field Day. They all got to participate in Field Day. So the Compass program was mentioned tonight. So Compass, I'll never forget this. I went to Mark after this was my second year here, I think, and we had 3 students in the elementary school, and this was actually some of the work that came out. Mr. Kosker, I can't see you, but this is actually some of the work that came out of the parent group that we had, and when we were meeting, remember, with parents, and we talked about how we didn't have a program for students with social emotional needs at the elementary level. There was nothing, and I went to Dr. Zito and I said, I have a person who I think can run this and create this program. If we don't do this, I'm going to have to place 3 students out. And again, we went to the board. I showed everybody, my plan, and the board said, do it. And I did. And I actually brought in Rachel Nye, who I actually had hired in my previous district, and she came here, and she created the Compass program, and she's amazing, and it is wonderful. She's since left the district to raise her children, but in her place, we hired Anna Emanuel, who was a para and trained under Rachel, and she is wonderful. She is a wonderful human being, and she gives everything to these kids. And she runs the program with Amy Thane, who's a social worker that I hired a couple of years ago. Shelby Zukowski was here when I got to the district. She's just a rock star and has assisted with this program because she just has a heart for these kids. And then, so it's important, I want to explain this part to you guys. It's important because this came up. I know Mr. Gavin was mentioning this, the BCBA, because we kept talking about the BCBA and the budget. So what happened was last year, Dr. Zito and I met, and Mr. Nozick, now Dr. Nozick, met with the Compass staff. And we said, obviously the demographics are changing. The kids are really challenging. Just so you know, the program started with 3 students. It has 10 now. So it's grown. What can we do to support you? How can we support you? What do you need? And they said, we need a BCBA just for this program. We just really need somebody that has the skill set to really help us manage the behavior. And we said, okay, again, went to the board. Hey, we need this BCBA. We got it, and now this program is doing really, really well. Since the creation of Compass 7 years ago, 1 elementary student has been outplaced in 7 years. 1. It's very significant and could not be done without these people. Mr. LaMontagne had to create more space for us this year because we needed more space. So we called him on a Friday, and I think he had it done by Tuesday. So we said, listen, we need this done, and he did it. So we have a nice big space, which is amazing. This year, I had actually planned a retreat for a number of staff up at the Story Barn in Somers, Connecticut, with Renata Bowers, who's a children's author and a story coach. And the purpose of this was to kind of give our staff who are really in all of these specialized programs a day to kind of talk about their experiences and everything that they're dealing with, and to kind of just kind of gather strength from each other. And it was a really positive experience. And this is the 4 of them going up there for that. And so some of the student accomplishments in Compass, the students participated in concerts, field trips, fun run, and field day. And then they also have a social skills group, and they create their own social emotional learning toolkits that they use throughout the day. So this model, and I'm going to talk about Mosier in a minute, but the model with the BCBA and the teacher has been working really, really well. And again, this was at the request of the staff. They said they wanted this, and we followed what they wanted, and they're very happy. Mosier School. So Mosier School, obviously, when it was opened, just had the life skills program. So students from KIPP and TLC went to that program. It's only 2 grades, so there were less kids in there, so it was manageable. And then we realized that we also needed a Compass program for students with behavioral challenges. So we did hire a teacher, and that teacher actually also came from my previous district and trained under Rachel Nye, who created Compass. Alexis Lyonnais, she's awesome. She's amazing. And so we did have 2 teachers. What happened when one of the teachers resigned, Alexis came to us and Dr. Diaz and said, I want a BCBA. I want to combine the programs, and I think we can work together with a BCBA. And that's what the staff wanted. That's what the paras wanted, and that's what Alexis wanted, and we did that. And now the program has been renamed Connections, and there are going to be, and I'm going to give you numbers in a few minutes, 14 students, 14 in this program next year. And they are a combination of students with behavioral challenges and students with autism and students that need life skills instruction. And we hired an amazing BCBA, Tina Cornwall. Dr. Zito and I hired her last year, and her and Alexis run the program together, and they do an amazing job. So this is our new this year at Mosier's is the school connection. So they did rename it. So this is the program. And the kids are doing a phenomenal job. Program highlights. This year we have learned to use functional communication, built friendships, requested to go to homeroom independently and consistency, walked to classes independently used I want and I need statements vocally, independently used augmentative and alternative communication devices to request and comment, increased iReady scores, learned to read short stories and demonstrate comprehension, adopted a cow. I'm gonna have to get clarification on that one because I don't know what that means, and created a monthly newsletter. So I don't know about the cow, but I will get a response about that. So this is a wonderful program and is running very, very well. So we do have a program at the middle school. I was not able to get pictures of the program, but we do have a life skills program at the middle school. It has about 9 or 10 students in it, and it's been being run for about 7 years, very successfully, and the kids are doing very well. We don't have a full-time BCBA with the program, but we do have a BCBA there several days a week who's very involved in the program. And so this is the unified, this is our high school. So we have a life skills program at the high school, which we did not have. Allison Bergeron runs this program. She was also somebody that I had hired previously, and she's doing a great job running this program. The kids are, with their peers, doing unified arts, unified sports. The paras are amazing. You see inclusion. They have got the people as the eyes, which is pretty cool. Gabby Brzezowski does the Unified Sports as well. She is awesome. They did an Eric Carlisle mural, which is pretty cool, with their peers. And they went to Old Weathersfield to see the scarecrows. So I'm going to just give you a quick update on the Dream Cafe, and then I'm just going to give you a few numbers, and then this will be over. But like I said, I wanted you guys to have really have an understanding of these specialized programs because, like I said, it's a newer board, and it occurred to me that you may not have a full understanding when we say KIP or Compass of what that means. So Dream Cafe update. We did this update a couple of months ago to a committee, to the special ed committee, and I know Ms. Lafredo had wanted us to show the whole board. So this is an adapted version because it's too long to show everything, so it's adapted. So the first year closed out its first year with $41,968 in sales. And since then, February, March, April, and May, the cafe has done a total of $14,556. And again, you know, Erin, someone that I've hired, is amazing and wonderful, and she's a rock star. She's great, and she does a great job. The tips from year one equaled $3,446, and 2025 year-to-date tips are already at $1,755. So the community is supporting this initiative, and the kids are really having wonderful experiences. So for the first year, we did ESY breakfast, new teacher orientation, Parks and Rec pickleball ribbon cutting, convocation, unified sports banquet, PD Valentine's event, and administrative meetings. So those are just a few of the things that the kids did. We got the van, so it was a pretty big accomplishment, and the kids are going on deliveries, and that's been a pretty regular thing now. It's amazing. Erin did tell me today that one of our students graduated, and we were going to rent a convertible, but that didn't work out. But she did let one of the students that was graduating sit in the front and pick the music, so that is what we settled on, and it worked out very well. So that was great. Erin, you know, because she's great with the kids, but she also was a business owner, so she does these, you know, the Thanksgiving pie sales, the holiday cookie sales, the Valentine's Day cards, and the Mother and Father's Day cards, very successful. And the kids have amazing opportunities to learn how to bake pies, make cookies, and do crafts and cards. Challenger Day. So last year we did Challenger Day and it rained and it was a little rough. This year the rain held off and we did $470 in sales as compared to $140. And we had student volunteers, Justin and Caden, which was great for them to come out and help. So it went really, really well. So we're excited about that. So I want to thank everybody for that. The Unified Sports Fundraiser. So this, I want to give a shout out to Allison Bergeron and Gabby Brzezowski because they really did all the work with Erin. Erin did a lot of work here, and Justin. It was a huge success. It sold out both seatings, 1,184 in net sales. We donated 20% to Unified Sports, which was $237. Nick Sella, I don't know what the deal is with the PowerPoint, and I apologize because it's like cutting off Nick Sella in the piano. I'm sorry. I can send you the PowerPoint if you want. But Nick Sella played, and student volunteers from Dream and Rocky Hill High School were awesome. And, you know, so we do want to do some more Saturday events because this one was really, really successful. So I just want to thank everybody for giving up their time on a Saturday to support this because it went really well. And you can see the kids that volunteered. Okay, so I just showed you all the programs. You know, we have programs. We have what's called a continuum of services, which is critically important in any district. But I want to show you that in those programs, we have a total of 77 students, 77 that weren't here 7-8 years ago, and they're here now. If you look at a cost analysis and you look at keeping the kids in district, which is what we've done, the board has trusted my vision, supported, brought in all of these wonderful people that I just showed you to create and sustain these programs and to put these kids first, to advocate for these vulnerable students. Yep, we have to hire teachers, paras, BCBAs, related service staff. We have to add staff. Yes, we have to add staff. And I know that comes up every year at the budget. Why are we adding staff? Why are we adding staff? Well, this is why. But that is approximate cost is $3.4 million. If we were to outplace those kids, those students, you're paying for tuition, transportation, related services, extra staffing, ESY. Your approximate cost, and I backed out excess cost, you're looking at probably over $9 million. $9 million is a conservative number. If there was no continuum of services and no specialized programming, the Board of Ed budget would be increased at least $5.6 million, most likely more. That's what you would be looking at if we didn't have all of those programs and we didn't have all those staff that are every day coming, and their focus is 100% on the students. That is their focus. And I know somebody asked about hiring protocols, and because I am HR and I am very involved in the hiring protocols, the number one thing that I look for when I'm hiring are people that are going to put kids first and people that are going to advocate for students, because that's what we need. And we are very fortunate to have so many teachers in this district and staff that do that, as I just showed you. It underscores the need for promoting student advocacy, especially of our most vulnerable students, and hiring administrators, teachers, and staff who put students first. Doing so will allow all students the right to have access to their peers within their community, and it supports efficient spending, which is the Board of Ed's obligation to be a responsible steward of taxpayer funds. So while, yes, this is a cost savings and helps you with your budget, but it's what's best for kids. So I just wanted you guys to have a full picture of that so that you could really have an understanding of all these programs. When we use all these KIP, Compass, TLC, and BCBA, and all this kind of stuff, this is what it means. So I'm happy to take any questions if anybody has a question. And I just want to make sure that I got everything. I believe that I did.
Does anyone have any questions?
I have a comment.
Yeah.
I wish you had presented this to the town council
Yeah.
over a month ago.
Yeah.
Because that really lays out all.
I know. You know what? So it's funny that you say that, Maria, because
Day late, a dollar short.
well, I
Sorry.
think it's funny because when you're in the world so deeply, you're in it. And I've been here and I've been talking about it. You kind of think that everybody knows it. And then when I know, Mr. Chabra, you asked a question about KIP, and I was like, I don't know that everybody really knows what these things are. So I thought it was important. And I don't know if this would have been appropriate for the town council because it's pictures of the kids and everything.
When you lay out the numbers and the dollars and what would have been saved, and yeah, I think it would have been.
Yeah, that part is probably a good, yeah. So it's important information. And again, I've been thinking about it, so I sat down and did the dollars. And this is not exact because I didn't include some things, and I just went through the staffing and added up all the staffing and what tuitions would be, but it's very close.
Yep. Thank you, Ms. Stevenson.
All right.
I do have a question. Can
Sure.
you just, that was a great presentation, by the way. Thank you for putting that together, and thank you for everything that you do, and certainly thank you to all of our staff who make it all happen. Can you, particularly talk about the combining of the KIPs? I just want to make sure that that's clear because I have got some questions in the public with regard to that, and I just want to make sure it's perfectly clear what's happening there.
Okay, so KIP, to go way back, KIP used to be when I got here. It was mostly a program where preschool, there was kind of a thing here. If you were a preschool student and you had autism, you went to KIP. You didn't get to go to preschool like everybody else. So the KIP was really for preschool kids. And I remember coming here and there were a couple of first or second graders, and people were like, yeah, they really need to be outplaced. They don't really belong here. And I was like, we're not going to do that because the kids that have autism need to be in preschool, so we expanded the preschool. That was another whole thing that we did with the board. We expanded the preschool, and we said KIP is going to be K-3. So we need to, again, you need to have a continuum of services. You can't have a program for preschool kids that have autism and then say when they become first and second grade, they can't be here anymore. You can't do that. So I said, okay, we've got to have KIP K-3. So we did that. And it was just one KIP. And it was just at West Hill. And there were like 3 or 4 kids in it. So that's it. That's what it was for years. So there was never 2 KIPs. There was never 2 KIPs. It was 1. And then a couple of years ago, we moved KIP to Stevens, and there was only 1 KIP. There was a KIP at Stevens. And it started growing, and it started growing and growing and growing. And then we had up to 10 kids, and we were like, 10 students is kind of a lot. So we were like, that if it continues to go like this, we're gonna have to separate it. So we did add a teacher, and we separated it this year. And so there was 1 KIP at West Hill and 1 KIP at Stevens. Next year, the numbers are going down because that's what happens. Kids move on to Mosier. Our numbers at Mosier are quite high. So we have high numbers. We have 14 kids going into Mosier. And so we only have 8 at KIP. So we are able to accommodate all of those 8 students. The teacher is totally on board. She's 100% on board with it. The paras will be supporting the students. We have the space. So it is something that we are able to do without, sacrificing anybody's program or anything like that. The other teacher that was doing KIP was ready for something new. So she has been notified of a transfer and is looking forward to doing something new.
Thank you, Ms. Stevenson.
Within the special education program or somewhere else?
In a special education role.
Okay.
Yeah.
Within the district, right?
Within the district, yeah. Yep. Which she was doing before because she was put into KIP. She was transferred to KIP. Yeah, she was transferred to KIP. Because we met with her and we said, hey, I think you would be good for this. And she's great. And she said, I'll try it. I'll do it. She did it for several years. She did a great job. She puts her heart and soul into it. She's wonderful. And now she's ready to go back to doing what she was doing before.
Thank you, Ms. Stevenson.
Yep.
Mr. Kosker?
Yeah, as you can imagine, I have a number of questions, but
Sure.
I appreciate the presentation. This is great. Do you mind, can you go back to that slide with the numbers in each program? Because it went so quick, I didn't catch it all.
Right.
Just a number, and I know it's in flux.
Yeah,
I know
I
it's
had the
not
same.
it's not
Okay.
static. I totally get it. It changes every day. I get all that.
Yeah.
But this is a snapshot as of
Yes.
whenever.
It's probably going to be different the first day of school,
Of
but
course.
this is so what
Currently.
we do, just so you know, is we create a spreadsheet, and because this drives our staffing, our para educators, our transfers, like we just notified paras. We have 100 para educators. We have to tell everybody where they're going, what their assignment is next year. My office is responsible for that. So we spend a lot of time, so we have to have this information to know what we're going to need for staffing. Space, I have to tell Ron what spaces we need, if spaces are changing. So all of these things,
So just a couple quick clarifications. Do you know the breakdown between GMS and RHS in high school?
it's like
It's about half and half, roughly?
yeah, it's about half and half.
Okay.
Yeah,
I mean, my son's in the
Yeah.
high school one, so I'm familiar with roughly
It's
how large
about
it is,
like
but-
9, 8, 8, 9,
Yeah,
something like
okay.
that. Yep.
So that was one part of my question, and I appreciate this whole presentation. It's been great. I do agree with Marie. I think it would be great, and I know this presentation. This is a public meeting, so the public can see this video, this thing that you just presented. So
Yeah.
I think town council seeing it would be great, for them. And so certainly, hopefully, they watch this and can see this, and we can get to some information. So I know I understand it's too late for this year, but still, it's important regardless of this year. I think it's great. It's on the BCBA, I know you mentioned the BCBA being there in Compass and in the connections. Are
Yes.
those 2 BCBAs full-time for those
Yes.
programs? Okay.
Yes, we
I
have
thought
an
that was the
additional.
case. Yeah, I thought
yes,
those guys
they
wanted
are
to clarify.
full time. So
Okay.
in Connections, we have 2 full-time staff.
Right. So
2
full-time.
full-time, 1 BCBA and 1 full-time teacher. And in Compass, we have a full-time teacher, a full-time BCBA, and then we have another teacher who goes in and assists. Not all day, like she just goes in and kind of assists because she's.
That's awesome. And then, So another, I mean, I guess kind of question, comment, but there's, if I recall, there's about 440 students total in district with an IEP.
Yes.
With special education students, and we're speaking about 77 of them.
Correct.
And these are obviously the students with the most needs and
Correct.
the highest support needs. So I appreciate the detail, but I just wanted to point out that there's another, 300 some odd students that are also receiving services. And I know you're not ignoring them at all. I'm just acknowledging that for the public or whoever's watching this, that's all.
Right.
There's a
But the
whole bunch
point
that-
of
that
this was to kind of
understand.
explain
Totally. I totally
the,
get it. Yeah.
to showcase the staff
I
who
understand that.
spend all of their time with these students and who are able to sustain these programs. I mean, it would be great if I was like, hey, let's create this program and we didn't have the right people in it and it was like a disaster. You need to have the right people in the programs and you need to have hiring protocols that support putting the best people in these programs. It's critical because then and only then can you sustain them.
No, my point was just to point it out that there's a whole bunch of other students, that's all. And then the other thing is, I know this as a parent and I know this as someone who sort of works in this field, that none of this is easy work. So I really appreciate all the staff. I mean, I know none of this is easy. When it's a program with 6 students and someone says, holy smokes, there's one-on-one staff and these are students that have high needs. I know you said that, and I just wanted to say that as a parent, as someone who works in the field, it's extremely challenging work.
It is.
And at the same time, it is extremely important, as you've pointed out some of these things here today, that these students remain in district to the greatest extent possible. And I know that's not always easy. I would like to see at some point our numbers on outplacements as well. I know we've talked about that in committee meetings. I think it'd be helpful for us to also understand those numbers as well, just to see where those are. Historically, you've gone to a couple historical numbers here as far as the other programs, and I know those numbers have been on the rise as well recently across the state and also in Rocky Hill. So I just wanted to acknowledge that as well. But thank you for this. I appreciate it. I think it's really important that we all know it as a board, that board members, that the public knows it, town council, et cetera. So, and thank you to the shout out to our parent group because we worked really hard over the years to get that parent group going. Hopefully we can get that going again.
The
That
Dream
kind of-
Academy was also born out of that parent group.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that parent group kind of waned as I moved on to a Board of Education role, and hopefully we can have a parent out there take that up and get that running again, because I think it was a very valuable and important group.
Well, and I just want to end on this like funny little story because this is funny. So this happened probably like 4 times throughout the year. I get a call from a principal. I won't tell you who it is. And he calls and he goes, I don't know. I don't think we can keep so-and-so. I don't think we can keep so-and-so. I think they have to be outplaced. They did this. They did this. I'm really concerned. I don't know. I think the staff is really, to your point, Tom, I think the staff has really had it enough. Okay, well, we want to support the staff. So, okay, well, if we have to outplace someone, let's look at the data. Okay, let's outplace someone. Jesse, go meet with the staff. Let me know. Jesse comes back. This happened like 4 times. They don't want to outplace anybody. They don't want to outplace anybody. So the principal will be like worried about the staff. Like, I'm worried about them. They're dealing with this, this, and this. But then when Jesse goes and meets with the staff, they're like, no, we want to keep them. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. So this is the level of dedication that you have with the staff. They're unbelievable. And I laugh with them about it because I'm like, guys, like, are you really okay? Like, are you okay? And they're like, no, we're good. We're good. We got this. And I'm like, I hope so. If you need us to, like, let us know. So it's happened like 4 times. They're extremely committed.
Just one other quick comment. I'll be brief.
Sure, quick.
I'll be brief. It's already almost 9. I understand that. My son's already in bed. So I just acknowledge, I mean, this is hard work. Yes, I've said that. It's hard on staff. It's hard on everyone. But it's important work. And I think we've made a lot of improvements. I think there's always room for improvement as well. And I think hopefully we all acknowledge that it requires focus from us as a board. We've talked about this, focus from administration, from teachers, et cetera, to keep doing this hard work. And I just look for you and for the district to continue to do that, to support the staff and stuff, because it's tough work. So that's all. Thank you.
It is, yeah.
Ms. Morphia?
Just really quickly, the Dream Academy and Dream Cafe, not everybody at the academy is at the cafe, correct? Or are they all?
So there are kids that are at the academy. Most of them go to the cafe, some don't, but most of them are involved in the cafe at some level.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
How many kids are current seniors that are moving into the Dream Academy Cafe?
I think it's like 4 or 5. Yeah. Yep. 4 or 5. I believe so because, and the reason I say that is because there's 11 kids right now, 1 just graduated, and it's going to be 15 next year, so it must be 5.
So 5. And then how many are being aged out?
This year?
Yes.
1.
Okay.
Yes.
Which I think I know who it is because my oldest son graduated with this person.
Yeah.
And I was asking Dr. Zito the age, so.
She's the one that got
Yeah.
to sit in the front today
Yeah.
and pick the music.
Thank you, Ms. Thank you, Ms. Manoa. Sure.
One more.
I thought you were done,
When you
sorry.
mentioned the admin who called and, going back and forth, going back to the, Mr. Russell's comment, do you think that there could be a correlation of kind of fear from the staff of any kind of, between central office and the front
No.
staff?
No, I don't.
You don't think so?
Absolutely not. No. When the staff, when the principal is calling me,
yeah.
he's not calling me on behalf of the staff. He's calling me on behalf of his worrying for the staff.
Yeah.
And then when we meet with the staff,
Yeah.
who I have excellent relationships with, who I hired most of them, and as far as Mr. Russell's comment, I mean, that's their comment. That's that's fine. I think it's really important to focus on facts and just to give a couple facts, which I do HR and
Yeah.
I will give you these facts and you can consider them and that's fine. We have had 0 staff resignations this year. 0. The only resignations we've had are a couple of retirements. Some people that are retiring. We've had not one certified teacher resignation, not one this whole year. That's not the case in many other districts. Rocky Hill is unique. Typically, when you have very stable teacher retention, it speaks to positive working conditions. We've also had no grievances. It's outlined in the contracts. Multiple contracts are outlined, a process. If people feel they've been treated unfairly, there's a grievance process. We want to resolve things at the lowest level. Of course we do. So if there's a concern, that concern can be brought to the superintendent. That's step 1 of the grievance. We've had no grievances. I haven't even had a call about a possible grievance, nor has Dr. Zito. So that's important data to consider. Finally, a third data point to consider, we have over 600 employees. My role is to take corrective action when an employee violates board policy or violates state law or does something. This year, 2% of employees have needed corrective action. 2%. And there's been no grievances. So that tells you that if it was an unfair, there would be evidence. If it was arbitrary, then that should be grieved. But they're not arbitrary, which is why there's no grievances. So you really have to focus on data. Data is really very important. And to go back to this situation, I was telling you that story because I wanted to highlight the commitment that the staff have. They're wonderful, and I have excellent relationships with them, and they really, really are committed to these kids.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Stevenson.
Thank you.
And I will say, Ms. Stevenson, I've been on the board several years now, and we've talked about special ed. I think there's, the saying, picture's worth 1,000 words, and that slide laying out the specialized program, I think, really does kind of crystallize exactly what we're talking about in those budget meetings as far as the cost savings and also the benefit we're providing to the students by keeping them in the community with their friends, with their neighbors. So that was, thank you for that presentation. And also I wanted to comment that, following up on Mr. Kosker's comment, as far as, I don't want the public to be left with the impression that 77 students is all we have that have special education needs.
Right.
That 77 does not include, those are the ones who have the more significant special needs support. And we still have, I think the number was in the 300s or something of that nature.
440 total.
440 it's up to, that have
Yep.
individualized education plans, require PPTs. and have
504s.
If I have
Doesn't
504s.
include 504s, yeah.
And I think that's important as well, because I wouldn't want either the town council or the public to think that we only have 77 special education students
No,
within our district.
that's a good point. And the reason I focus on the 77 is because those 77 students were not here when I came, 7 years, 8 years ago. We didn't have that level of need. And had we continued what we were doing 7 or 8 years ago, you would be adding $9 million or $5 million to your budget.
Correct. And when you say they were not here, it means they were outplaced. If they had been here, they would have been outplaced.
Speaks to some
Yeah.
data, so we've gone over this, if I may, numerous times. 12, 13 years ago, we had about 230 identified students with IEPs. That does not include students with 504s.
The mic.
We're at 440 now. We had roughly 20-something kids that were outplaced, with only 230 kids identified. The outplacement number was 20. So if that statistic stayed the same.
And that was in the past. That was.
This is 12 years ago, 13 years ago, when I first came to the district, about 20 kids were outplaced. If you roll that forward, just to do the numbers, you'd be looking at basically doubling that number. We're not close to 40. We're more at like 7 or 8, 9 max. In that ball, it's a very low number.
No, we have more than that outplaced.
Right
Right now, we probably have, by the end of this year, we're going to have like probably 15.
15, but again, we had 20 with half the number of IEPs.
Correct,
So
correct.
we have roughly 40 kids now, if you just kind of follow that line of thinking.
The majority of those 77 kids would, if we were 7 or 8 years ago, without these programs, without these staff, without these resources, they would have been outplaced. There would not have been, I mean.
The point is that these programs are allowing kids to stay in their home district and be educated with their peers. That's the point.
Correct.
That these programs did not
Appropriately,
exist.
right.
That's absolutely fact.
They did not.
Yeah.
They did not. And I mean, and it was sad because some of these kids, they would be able to keep, it was not exactly meaningful or appropriate instruction all the time because they were just be in regular classes with a para with no programming. But then once they got to be transition age, they would have to leave. Like you have a child that you've made a commitment to since age 3 and then they can't, that's
the other salient factor, that for the transitional, there wasn't a transitional program.
There was no
here.
program.
Every
No.
single kid entitled to education beyond the high school program was outplaced.
all of them
We
were.
don't do that now either.
And that was really what I focused on because
We didn't have a transition.
I looked at what was coming up and I was like, we have to create something because this is going to be so again, the credit goes to the support of the board for trusting me to create these programs and to hire the right people. It's a leap of faith that the board took in me, and I appreciate that. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Stevenson. And thank you to everyone on behalf of the board who makes these programs happen. All right, moving along to agenda item number 21, Assistant Superintendent for Finance and Operations Report, Mr. Zettergren.
Okay. In your board packet is the regular financial report reflecting year-to-date figures for the month ending May 2025. We're in the process of closing out our financial information for our fiscal year ending June 30th. At this time, I am anticipating that we'll end the year with a small, very small balance that we plan on returning to the town. As mentioned previously in our discussions, work has been scheduled with our contractor on the HVAC project at Stevens School that will begin this summer. Also, the auditors will be in the week of June 23rd to perform preliminary work on the audit for the 2024-25 fiscal year and be back in early September for 2 weeks to conclude this work. And this being my last board meeting, I just want to say thank you to all the board members for the support that you've given me over the years. It's very much appreciated.
Thank you, Mr. Zettergren, for everything you've done. It's bittersweet, obviously. I mean, I've only known you a few years, but you've been great to work with. And I know I can speak on behalf of the entire board in saying we wish you luck in whatever your next chapter may include.
Thank you.
I have one quick question. Chuck, do we get a final, like after school's over?
Yeah, but it's not typically until, well, the board doesn't usually meet until
August.
July, so sometime in August is
Yeah.
typically when it's given.
Okay, thank you.
And he'll be retired by then, so.
Talk to Nosy. All right, Mr. Clements has a question.
Just to clarify, you said the small balance we're gonna have to give back to the town, we're actually pre-spending that as part of the adopted budget we did,
Part of the
correct?
offset, right?
Right.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, thank you.
All right, moving along. Any other questions for Mr. Zettergren? All right. Agenda item number 22, Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction Report, Ms. Duran.
Great, thank you. Good evening, everyone. It's a lot of fun going last at these meetings, I just want to say. So I will condense my comments. But one of the things I did want to mention is that our goal for this year was to implement the new educator evaluation program. And throughout the school year, I surveyed the staff twice to get some feedback. And the first survey, we had 95 staff members reply to, and the second one, I only released yesterday, and just before the meeting, there were 97 responses to that second survey. So we've received some good feedback, and we have what's called a PDEC committee that helped to create and write the plan and worked over the summer to put the forms together that we used this year. And we will convene that committee in the fall to look closely at the survey data that we have. We've also we had one meeting in the spring where we were able to look at the first batch of survey results. And based on that, we have some work that we're going to do over the summer to revise the program that we're using to administer the plan. Anytime you roll out something new, you have glitches, and so we have some work we want to accomplish with that. So I did want to take a minute to thank our IT director, Chris Gay. He did last summer do a tremendous amount of work to help digitize the evaluation plan, and a lot of other software programs that we had that we needed to get to be digitized pretty quickly as far as rostering. And it was a heavy lift, and it was a lot of work that we continued to finish as the school year began, but we couldn't have done it without him. So I wanted to mention him tonight. The other thing I wanted to mention was that the curriculum team we know what we need to do with Chris over the summer, and that's going to be a collaborative effort. So I want to also shout out to my team, Danielle and Mary, who will assist with that work with Chris over the summer. And then I wanted to thank the PDEC committee who worked to create the framework that the state provided and create a plan that focused on educator professional learning and met all of the and there was a lot of required criteria that was listed in the state's non-negotiables. We couldn't have accomplished the plan without that input and collaboration of the administrators. And I wanted to share with you that our administrators are evaluating a total of 250 certified teachers, and we have 17 administrators. We knew that it was going to be a heavy lift for them, and they worked collaboratively with myself throughout the year to create presentations and support staff with each component of the plan, of which there are many. We conducted, like I said earlier, the surveys, and we're going to use that. I did want to just point out 2 data points from the survey with you. One was we asked them for feedback on whether or not they had a clear understanding of the goal-setting process, and 88% scored the process with a 3 or more on a scale of 1 to 5, and 80.5% reported that they feel confident that they can complete the process again next year. So I have additional data that I will share with the staff as well. So included in your board packet tonight, at the request of the board in a subcommittee meeting, I've included a list of professional learning opportunities that the Rocky Hill teachers and staff have been provided from 2021 to date, as well as the planned 2025-2026 professional development trainings that are aligned to the new state legislation regarding safe school climate. And all of the sessions that are listed there, the titles might not mean a lot to you, but they are part of the educational word salad that I've been talking to you a lot about in our subcommittee meetings. So they align with the MTSS and the PBIS and the SEL and restorative practices. And we had some sessions that we also offered to both our students and staff on wellness that also align to that work. So I wanted to make sure I shared that with you. As you know, the legislation takes effect on July 1st of 2025, and it's requiring districts to provide professional learning on these topics. We are fortunate that we're a little ahead of the curve, as you can see by the list provided. And one overview training on restorative practices was the requirement in this school year, 2024-2025. And we are proud to report that we did successfully provide that training to all of our certified and non-certified staff this year. We've talked about it in subcommittee, and I'll say it again here. This is probably the most robust legislation we've ever seen, and it's going to take us time to fully implement it. The Safe School Climate plans that are going to be developed at each school, the legislation requires that those be completed by December 31st of 2025. So we have some time, and we will continue to do the work to get everybody comfortable with the components of the legislation, and it's going to be a collaborative effort. So I just wanted to thank the board for asking really good questions in subcommittee and working hard to understand all the pieces of it, because it is complex. So thank you. And I'll entertain any questions if you have any.
Thank you, Mr. Rain. Ms. Alfredo?
You probably know I'm going to ask you this. I'd like to know if you could just give us some information about the wellness coaching for admins, because it's on here quite a number of times.
Yep.
And I'm just curious, what did that entail?
Sure. So we hired a wellness coach to work with our administrative team throughout this school year, knowing the demands that we have on not only our teachers, but our administrators with all of these new legislative mandates. So we had some whole group sessions that focused on basically a little bit of a story cycle. Like, we all have a story, and when you're in the pit, you need your helpers to take you along. So we did that session with our teachers, but we did it with our administrators as well. We also did a session where we focused on just their daily practices and routines and how to manage the workload, which is ever increasing, and trying to help them to prioritize themselves in order to be able to do the work and be there and be present for everyone else. And we then offered, if they wanted to do individual sessions, because that work is private and personal, so we did offer that to anyone who wanted to take us up on that.
And can I just, I worked with Wendy on this initiative, and these were the people that the retreat that I was just talking about, these people worked with the staff on that retreat. And part of it was kind of recognizing how challenging that work is and prioritizing self-care. And part of what we did with them was to kind of set goals. We gave everybody a journal, and the health coach worked with them to kind of say, like, okay, what are some things that you're having a hard time doing because you are so bogged down by this work, and let's set some goals. And we did that with the administrators too. And then I just want to reference the part that Wendy was talking about the pit, because you guys can look this up. It's really cool. It's called The Hero's Journey, because basically the message is that all of the teachers and the administrators do the work of heroes. That is what they're doing, that everybody is living the hero's journey. And we had this woman, Renata, that I mentioned, come in and talk to the staff and to the administrators about that work. And really the purpose of it is to kind of understand the helpers that are around you, the colleagues and the different people that are around you, so that when you're in the pit, you can reach out and learn something from the hard work that you're doing, to kind of flip the mindset. So it's not like, oh my God, this is so hard. Oh my gosh, it's more of, okay, what can I learn from this? It's focusing on resilience, because we understand and recognize that this is really hard for the staff and for the administrator. So that was the purpose of why Wendy and I partnered on this initiative, and hope to continue it next year.
Yes, thank you for articulating that.
Sorry.
Very clearly.
Thank you, Amy.
I just know, oh, I'm sorry.
Sure, Ms. Manoa.
I don't know, this must be a typo. I just noticed that you had the wellness coaching for admins on January 1st. New Year's Day?
Yeah, that's a typo.
We made them all come in on New Year's Day.
We did not do that on New Year's Day.
Really?
Or a
On a
dedicated
holiday?
lunch.
Okay.
That would be a typo.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Rand, and thank you, Ms. Stevenson. Any other questions? All right, moving along to agenda item number 23, Superintendent's report, Dr. Zito.
Very good, thank you. Just a couple quick items. First of all, reminder, the seniors graduate on June 16th. That's this coming Monday at Central. Board members, we'd love to have you there. You should plan on arriving a little early to be there on time. You've got reserved seating as Board of Education, and it does get very packed over there. But it's air conditioned, and we don't have to worry about the weather. So we look forward to seeing you there. I want to thank our staff for their efforts this year. I can't not believe tomorrow's the last day of school, and I hope that everybody has a peaceful and well-deserved summer break. Chuck, I was going to mention it, last meeting. You will be missed. Christine is at a graduation tonight, her last board meeting too. So I want to thank them both for their efforts. Been here a long time, both of them, and they will be missed. Thank you. We have a special meeting on Monday, June 23rd at 6 o'clock to address some questions that have come up regarding the specifics with the school climate legislation policy that you just adopted. So we will be scheduling that for Monday, June 23rd. As you know, that legislation goes into effect on July 1. And then I want to thank the board and I see some members of the teachers union. This was a difficult year with the budget, with the, just to get the facts out for the public. The board had requested a budget increase of 4.87%. The council ultimately appropriated a budget increase of 3.66%. That differential between the board's request and the council's appropriation caused us to reduce $650,000 to what I term the board's spending plan. So that was a significant step we had to take. The union understood that. I worked with them after that meeting. We are, there are some things that are happening here. We're down 5.4 teaching positions. The positive is nobody lost a job. And with 250 teachers in the district, I'm glad nobody resigned. You're right, I was going to talk about that too. There's a lot of research on school, on teacher retention. A lot of professors over the years, University of Texas has done a number of studies. Eric Hanashek is a professor who works on this. Teacher retention is one of the top indicators of school climate. So when you see a district with large turnover where people are leaving to go to other districts, it tells you there's probably some problems with climate. I'm very happy that nobody left Rocky Hill this year to take a position elsewhere, but it did create a challenge to come up with the $650,000 because there weren't many spots where I could find attrition. So we did do some program consolidation. We are taking a little bit of a step back in some areas. There's no world language program that we can offer at Mosier next year. We know this. That's a loss in my view. Numbers will tighten up a little bit. We're down 3 elementary classroom teachers. But with all that being said, every single certified teacher in this district that's in a permanent position has a job next year, which is important to me, that despite the reduction to the board's request, everybody's still employed. I want to thank, Michelle Bartha is here. She accompanied me to several of the meetings. I met with 14 people. Every single person that was transferred had an individual conversation with me. 13 of them I met with in person. One person wasn't available. She was tied up. She services students all day, and she was on a tight schedule, and we had a phone call about her change. So, Michelle, you're here. I want to publicly recognize you and thank you for sitting with me. There was a range of emotions from super excited to people that were upset in some cases. But at the end of the day, I think it was a collaborative process. 14 people were moved. But again, the bottom line to me was that everybody still has a position, which was really important. And I had told several board members that. I think Ms. Lafredo asked me about that at one point during the budgeting process. And I said, I'm pretty confident we're going to be able to come up with a plan that keeps everybody employed. So at the end of the day, it was a challenging budget cycle, but we still had an increase of 3.66%, which is more than a lot of towns received. And we were able to make some consolidations. And I thank the board for their effort because it was a really important meeting we had. I think it was June 2nd where we went through that list and really came up with how we were going to get to that point. And you know, again, I look forward to next year. I think we got through that situation, and I think we'll continue to offer high-quality programs really based on the strong teachers we have in the district. So those are my comments for tonight.
Thank you, Dr. Zito. Any questions? All right. Seeing none, move along to agenda item number 24. That is my report. First off, congratulations to all the students in finishing another year of school. Congratulations to the teachers for having another year under the belt. And also, thank you. Thank you from the Board of Ed. I know it has been a difficult year. There's a lot of changes going on, and I think it's important to remember and to impress upon you that it's not lost on the board that the staff and the teachers and the administrators are all the ones who make that happen. And so we appreciate you and thank you. Obviously, shout out to Chuck and Christine, who couldn't be here, been on the board since I came on, and it's been a pleasure working with both of you. As it's the end of the year, there's a couple things that I was able to go to that I just wanted to shout out. Was not able to go to everything, so I certainly, if I don't mention it, that doesn't mean it just means my schedule didn't permit it. But Challenger Day was an absolute success. The weather did hold out. Big shout out to the Rocky Hill Little League for putting that on. Mr. Kosker, thank you. You were pretty intimately involved in that process. Big shout out to Erin at the Dream Cafe. She was there that day selling, as you heard, and that was the first time I was able to experience the raspberry crumb cake, which was absolutely phenomenal. If you next time you go to the Dream Cafe, you got to try it. I think Mr. Clemens. Also, the high school sports awards ceremony. This is something that was new this year. I did have the pleasure of being able to experience that. It was a big shout out to Mr. Fody on that. That was his brainchild, and I spoke to him about it. And of course, being Mr. Fody, he just gave a big shout out to all the coaches and all the staff that helped to put it together. It really was an experience to be in that gym. The energy was electric. I think that I hope that it continues, and I think that it really helps to. The sense that I got was that there was really buy-in from the students in building a culture, a Rocky Hill culture, Go Terriers, and I think that it motivates those lower, may help motivate those lower classmen to continue in their sports and to continue, so that hopefully they can participate in it throughout their years. So I hope it continues. Thank you again, Mr. Fody. It was absolutely fantastic. All right. Additionally, I was at the High School Academic Scholarships Awards. Congratulations to all those winners. Eighth grade graduation was a big shout out to Mr. Mays. He did a great job with the graduation. Also, huge shout out to Isabella Lafredo, who was the keynote speaker. She did a fantastic job. Really killed it. So it was very well done. So big shout out there. Dr. Zito talked about some of the budget cuts. We did have this special meeting, obviously, to cut to reallocate the money that was allocated to us by the town. There have been some misconceptions out in the public. I think Dr. Zito did a good job of laying some of that, kind of putting the facts out there. But I did want to go through, we're expecting to pre-spend $160,000 as we discussed in our meeting. Additionally, we found some internal efficiencies in moving things around, as Dr. Zito explained. Unfortunately, we are going to eliminate the world language at Mosier, which nobody is happy to do, but it's not not a required program, but obviously it is a step back. I think those are the main points that I wanted to make sure that everyone was aware of and that they were put out there. Also, I think it's important to understand, and Dr. Zito touched upon this, the language that we use when we're talking about this. I often hear cut. It's important to understand that the council they didn't fully fund our requested increase, but they did give us a 3.6 increase. And so although they didn't fully fund that request, I think it's important to understand that difference, because when those words get thrown around, I think it carries a connotation that I don't think aligns with the reality of the situation. So I did want to make that statement. Another misconception that was floating around is dealing with the CIP. Since I've been on the board, we've always phased projects on the CIP. And I think we've done that for two reasons, to reduce or minimize the disruption to the school environment, and then also to be fiscally responsible. And I think it's important to understand that there are limited and finite resources, just like in any household or in any business. And this is the way that the board has always agreed, and at least since I've been on the board, voted unanimously for these phased projects. So I just think it's important for the public to understand that we do have facilities meetings on these things, and we have voted unanimously, at least since I've been on the board, for those phased projects. We did have a meeting to finalize our Board of Education goals, which we adopted tonight. For Mr. Kosker's behalf, I want to let the public know that those Board of Education goals will be available on the website in case anybody wants to find them. They were just adopted tonight, so the old ones are on there now, but the new ones will be up there shortly. Also want to briefly touch on restorative practices, because I've gotten a lot of questions about restorative practices, and there's a lot of misconceptions in the public, and I think it's important to at least give a brief overview of that. So it's a new statutory requirement state legislature imposed, and the general idea or the gist of it is to focus on creating meaningful relationships with students in order to develop open lines of communication, in turn creating buy-in from the students, with an eye on not removing them from those students from the educational setting unless it's absolutely necessary to do so. Well, there's a misconception out there that it's this loosey-goosey, laissez-faire plan where kids can do whatever they want and suffer no consequences. Well, that is not true. And I think the public needs to understand that, and I think I want to make sure that the students understand that the parents understand that the teachers understand that, and that the administrators understand that. What is unchanged under the new policy is that behavior that is significantly disruptive to the educational environment, behavior that is threatening, behavior that is dangerous, or violent, behavior that is assaultive or criminal will absolutely still potentially result in suspension or expulsion in accordance with the board policies. I've gotten multiple calls on this since the legislation came out, and I think it's important that everyone understands that those things still remain unchanged. Last part of my report was just going to talk about, since the union, since Mr. Russell came to the last meeting, I've been thinking about, what he had to say. I didn't know he was coming tonight. Thank you, Mr. Russell, for coming tonight. Looks like you did have to leave. But I have spoken to Dr. Zito since that meeting. I do intend to put together, the loose plan is to meet with central, it will be a sit down with the central office, Board of Education delegation, and the union reps. At least I'm thinking every 3 months, just to have a line of communication where everyone's sitting at the same table. And I think that's a good starting place, and then we can adjust how it sees fit. And Dr. Zito was fully on board with this idea, thought it would be a great idea. So with that, I'm looking forward to graduation. Looking forward to the summer, as I'm sure everyone is. We don't have a meeting. We don't have an official meeting in July, but we will. I'll see everyone in August. I'll see everyone in June because of our special meeting. But everyone have a wonderful summer, and we'll see you next year. With that, any questions for me?
Motion to adjourn.
All right, moved by Mr. Kosker. Do I have a second? Second. Seconded by Mr. Clemens. Any, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it, 8-0. Adjourned at